Hey guys, and welcome to Get Messy. I'm your host, Maddie, and today I get to sit down with actress, creator, and cat mom, Ashley Dulaney. She got a BFA from Ole Miss, and she got her start opposite Melissa and Joan Rivers, one of my personal icons, in a TurboTax National commercial. Some of her TV credits include Scandal, 911 Lone Star, Hulu's The Act, Justified, and Days of Our Lives. She's led Lifetime's Sister Wife Murder, The House Sitter, and The Babysitter's Black Book, and she's been supporting leads for Hallmark's A Taste of Love and Double Scoop. We dove into Ashley's 15-year career that started with her getting her BFA in acting, and her BFA helped her realize what she didn't want to be in this industry. We touch on the role astrology plays in her life, navigating self-tapes post-COVID, how she incorporates fun into her self-tapes and does not self-tape from home. We also discuss the recent Tilly Norwood AI controversy, the age-old debate with branding of how to hone your essence versus just trying to fit into a type, how she holds space for her creativity and craft, and also for the business responsibilities that she has in this industry, because after all, this is a business. The role timing plays in success, the value of embracing your uniqueness, and we touched a lot on the importance of mindset, the importance of self-trust, and not prioritizing your career over your happiness. After chatting with Ashley, I felt like I had fairy dust sprinkled all over me for the rest of the day. I felt so inspired and internally lit up, and I really just felt renewed with a different sense of hope. This industry can be really tough. There's no denying that, but there's so much magic in it too. And Ashley, I feel like, is here to remind us to look for the magic. She kind of feels like she's magic personified. So without further ado, the effortlessly charming Ashley Dulaney. I am so excited. I've been following you on Instagram, and you're one of my favorite follows because I laugh, I learn a lot from you. So I'm so happy we're finally doing this. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. And people don't even know. We already had a fabulous conversation right before this. I almost wish we recorded it because I was like, there was some gold in there too. But for people who might not know who you are, can you give us spark notes of who you are, what you do, any pertinent parts of your story you want to kick us off with?
Sure. As you know, I'm really bad at this. Every time someone asks, I'm like, I'm a human. I'm an actor. I've been professionally working for about 15 years now. I was originally from Mississippi. I got my BFA in acting, moved straight out to LA, and kind of got really lucky because my first spot was with Joan Rivers. And I kind of like started my career. I'm super married. I'm obsessed with them. And I have 4 cats. And I feel really lucky to just keep working. And working. And
yeah. So. Speaking of your BFA, and I love when you there was something you posted a little bit ago where you were like in a full like flight attendant outfit going to an audition and you're like, yeah, I got my BFA in acting and here, like, this is what I do. I've heard so many different things about people who've gotten their BFAs from all sorts of different schools. I'm just curious what your experience was like. And now that you're so far removed, like actually working as a professional in the industry, how do you feel like it served you?
That's such a good question because when I first moved out, I got told by someone I really trusted and loved, oh gosh, you know what? I wish we'd gotten 4 years earlier because like, I feel like those were critical years. And I remember being like, fuck you a little bit for that. Like, because I will tell you, 18-year-old Ashley did not need to come to LA or New York. 18-year-old Ashley needed a little bit more time for me personally in my journey, ground myself. And I found that this is going to come off they're going to murder me for it. I learned everything I didn't want to be in college and in BFA. And I think it taught me very little about the actual career path of being an actor, but everything to be a successful actor. And what I mean by that is it was a competitive breeding ground. And I learned immediately I didn't want to be that person. I learned very quickly that was only stopping me from getting to the top. And I don't think I would have learned that if I hadn't been put in that situation to see that I didn't like what was coming in college. And I think that changed my trajectory as a person, as an artist. And it just removed that horrible part. And so, and I truly believe if I'd come straight out to LA, I would have never learned it. I don't know who I would be. And so I'm grateful for my time at Ole Miss.
I think that is I had no idea what you were going to say, but I was like, wow, that is, if you had to take one thing, that's huge. I lived in LA. I don't live there anymore, but I lived there for over a decade. And I totally know what you mean, because I think that you see the people, it's so easy to fall into that trap of comparison, competitiveness. And I agree. I think it just, anyone who falls in there, I start to see like the bitterness rise, the joy gets sucked out of them. It's sad. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people. So I feel like if that's like, that was worth the price of admission.
It really was. I truly mean it because I think that like it will rob you of every bit of joy. And it's an impossible thing with social media not to compare and not to go into that trap. So I think learning that very early for me was like key at protecting that part of myself and like very grateful.
And you're so giving on your social media. You create so much content for creatives offering mindset support, normalizing the challenges that we face in this industry, helping us laugh at the shenanigans we have to deal with. And you had an Instagram series about fighting the void, about how so much of fighting the void comes down to mindset. So, in your professional experience and being in LA for as long as you have, what have you done to strengthen your mindset so you can not only just still be in the game, but be thriving in the game?
So for me, one key thing is you have to let go of control. You have to rework how you're seeing everything. So when I first started out in LA, everything was in the room, right? And so you start off and you're like, if I could just get in the room. Then COVID happened and we went to self-tapes. Self-tapes, everyone was like, no one's watching it. No one's watching it. What's the point? No, I'm just going to hit send. And it's like, it was learned life experience, and it was also just constantly rewriting the narrative. Because if you go into it with that energy, if you send off that tape, if you put that into your work, it's not only transparent, it just destroys you as an artist. So I have fun with it. I don't put so much pressure. I understand that because of self tapes and the void specifically, more people are being seen than ever before. I've just spent so much time talking with casting and producers. They're seeing so much more. Like casting used to go from seeing maybe 20 people to 100. And so like when you get stuck in the void and you're like, I got this audition, but no one's going to watch it. It's like you have no idea how far your tape went. I remember I was in a class once and they were like, oh my God, Ashley, you don't even know this, but we still play your tape from this. If anyone's having a bad day, we play this tape because it just makes us smile. And I was like, I didn't even get paid for that. So like you have no idea what your art is doing. So you have to just trust and you have to be enough. So mindset for me as an actor, and it goes the same for being in the room. I just had a very lucky experience where I was in the room and it went so well that they closed the binder and they were like, that is how you audition. Oh my God, I've missed you. I did not book it. So like your mindset has to be like, wow, I did my thing. And that has to go with self-tapes. It has to go with the void. I also have a little bit too much fun, perhaps, with astrology. I turned it into a game. So I think any way you as an actor can be like, I'm going to just have fun and I don't need validation. And then that's how you fight the void.
With you saying about astrology, do you mean like you're very tuned into what's happening astrologically?
I'm a psycho. I mean, I'm like, holy, what are good times this month for me to submit? And so she will do an electional chart for me based on my chart. She'll give me like a couple of times. And I've had to let go of some of the control because I had too much fun. But I had one of the craziest days of my life with astrology. Like one day she was like, hey, I want you to watch for this day. I don't know what's going to happen. I ended up being called back. And I was like, for a lead of this horror movie, I was meeting the studio on Zoom. And I was like, oh, I guess that was it because it's right in the window. And my astrologer was like, oh, Gina was like, that's amazing. And then before I got there, I found out I'd booked a TV show. And then when I got out of that, in the same 4-hour window, I found out I was avail checked for a series regular. So like astrology, when you start following, it just makes it fun. And you're like, I wonder what's going to happen versus, oh God, something happened. It's more like, oh my gosh, what magic is going to go down. So with auditions, I will try to have fun and submit them at really fun times to make it a game, make it less, gosh, I really hope I get this for my health insurance, and just make it more, okay, let's play with it. Some actions.
Absolutely. I think gamifying it is so smart because like you said, there's so little that we have control over besides the process, us enjoying the process, creating the character, like how we show up, the energy we bring. And you brought up the health insurance thing. As an adult, I told my husband, I never thought it would feel so sexy to be like, I made my health insurance this year.
It's such a big dick where you're like,
yeah,
wow,
oh, for sure.
Like, you get it. You feel so good.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I just got my human design chart read, which I know is a lot of astrological elements, which I love. So I know there's so much more than just I think it's what your star sign or your sun sign. What are you? I'm just curious.
Me, I am a Scorpio. And I'm an Aries moon, and I'm a Cancer rising.
Okay, cool. I'm an Aquarius. And then I'm a Cancer moon Pisces rising.
Oh my gosh. I have emotion. I love it.
A lot of emotion all the time. I feel like when I was younger, I was so embarrassed by it. You know what I mean? Like it worked obviously with acting, but I think I felt so embarrassed where now I'm like, oh yeah, this is, thank God. I feel like I'm getting to live a full life and experience so much more because I'm like tapped in straight to the
I
heart
love that.
center.
I think that's part of growing up. You always find the things that you were like scared of or embarrassed of or your strengths, your like superpowers.
Absolutely. If you can accept them and kind of learn how to fall in love with them. We were just talking about how much is out of our control. And you mentioned being your own movement. What does being your own movement mean to you? And what does that look like in action?
So when you're your own movement, I started kind of coining that anytime I would feel frustrated or stuck. I'll give you a couple of examples. One, I love hiking, right? If I'm ever feeling frustrated or anxious, I will literally go remove the energy from acting, remove it from everything, and I will do something that's good for my soul. If I feel stuck or like I'm just not seeing activity, I will immediately go get in a class. I will do a class with a casting professional. Those are my favorite. I feel like you learn, no offense to mentors, no offense to acting coaches or teachers. I think casting is the best place to learn. Not only do you see, they see the mistakes you're making, but I think it really does humanize you with casting. And so when you get this beautiful opportunity, whether it's a year from then, you aren't scared to meet another human and you realize they're human and they're on your side. And I think the more actors get out of their own way. So that's what it means. If I'm ever feeling like I'm really kind of struggling this week and I don't go throw myself into a class, immediately my energy changes.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. I am in grad school right now for clinical mental health counseling, and I've done a coaching certification that was all about positive psychology. And we learned so much about how so many times there's two different ways of processing, and one's like bottoms up or top down. So it's like, do we need some people with ADHD? It's like they would need to play Tetris on their phone to like actually help their brain move through something, where most people really need the help of their body. Like they need to use the energy and do something with it because caught in their mind, it's like not all of our thoughts are accurate and thoughts become feelings and feelings have meaning. So we can be attaching meaning to like all these things that are coming up that like it might have just been an insecure moment or something that happened. And now all of a sudden it feels like a very, very real thing. So I love that because it's just kind of forcing your body and your whole spirit to just like shake it off and fully jump in to a new energy, be present with other people.
That's amazing. I was like, that is so cool. I was smiling like a loser. I was like, that's
It's a
awesome.
plot twist, obviously, because still acting, still doing voiceover, writing, doing all the things, but I've always wanted to do it. And the timing just made sense. And here we are. And I love it so far. Something I've seen people struggle with has been finding the balance between the craft and the business. Like I've seen a lot of people sometimes be like so focused on, I want to get new rep or I want to get in front of these casting directors, like so business focused, they kind of suffocate a little bit of the joy and the love for the craft. Or I've seen the opposite where people are so committed and into the craft for a couple seasons, they almost lose sight of any sort of business strategy. And you said something about how although this is a creative industry, it is indeed a business still. How do you balance the creative elements of this career path and the business strategies that also need to be implemented?
I think, you know what? It's hard. The key is balance, right? We are creatives. And I think when we are starting out or when you're super far along in your career, let's suppose you're going a little slower or something, you will act for free because you love it. And I think sometimes you have to realize you are valuable. You are worth being paid for your craft. And so I think having a healthy balance of I'm a creative first and foremost, and I do it for free. But this is also my career choice. This is my thing. So I think for anyone who's feeling like they don't quite know, like, or they're too far into the creative and so they're losing balance or they're trying to one up on reps, I think finding your team and your flow that works for you. You have to remember you're worth being paid for your job while also growing as a creative. Maybe you're making content on the internet for free, or you're kind of trying out sketch characters for free. But when it comes down and someone's like, hey, I want to put together this project, it's okay for you to not do it if they can't pay you. And it's also okay for you to do it for free if you need it creatively. I don't think you need to put so much pressure on yourself to be like, I know a lot of people focus on the business side. I think that when you go into a room and you audition, you are showing the business side because you're going in there and you're doing your thing. I don't think you have to focus so much. I think you can also trust your team to put that kind of stuff together for you, or at least that's how I've always approached my career. I think that like you can be doing things that are purely creative that then spur more business things, and business things that spur more creative things. You don't have to focus on it. You can just have both. You can just live.
I think sometimes like it's exactly that. It's like there's this balance, but there needs to be like flexibility. Like I think that's part of it is like I love even when you're going into the audition, it's like your prep and all of that is like the fun creative part. And then when you go in, it's the business part. And I think you were about to say trust. Like so much of it is trusting yourself that like I can ebb and flow between both of these things. I don't have to like feel stuck over here, like because I feel like even if I'm thinking of a day-to-day in an actor's life, like there's no like okay now it's business Ashley or now it's creative Ashley, like it all blends together.
And I think for actors, for creatives in general, when you're kind of figuring this out, I think because we yearn for control in such an you have none kind of world, it's okay for you to never have an answer to that. I think you will know if you are making smart business choices because you will see how the energy is going in your career. One thing when it comes to business, I would say is pay very close attention to your team. I think that is what they are there for, is the business side for you. And while, yes, you are in control of that, you hire a team that's helping you grow in your career, right? What I mean by that is even if things are going well and you for some reason have a bad energy vibe with your team, be okay leaving them. That's a really good business step where you're like, once upon a time, not gonna go too deep into this. I had a rep that I really loved, but we needed to part ways. And it was really difficult on me, but it was the smartest business move I ever made. And so sometimes the creative side of you that's like, but I love this person needs to be okay with going, I need to make the right business move here.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I would sum it up in a way that in my own life, the only way I can. Because that's such a hard thing to put into words.
Especially with rep too, because it becomes you do have a relationship with them. So there is, it's just like how there's like creative and business side, there's like that relationship human to human with that person, but then also the fact that like we have a business agreement together of like how this is going to look like and what those expectations are. I have also been in a situation like that before, and it is hard, especially in the moment. For me at the time, I was a little bit younger. It was so hard to stand in my worth and not kind of dip into that scarcity of like some things are working, but there are other things that are inherently not. And those things, because maybe it's more, whether it be business or how we're inherently relating or our communication changed. So it was so hard to be like, how is it that despite some things working, it still feels like the right decision is to part ways? And then like, what if there's not something better? It's just so easy to go into that place. And that's where the trust comes in, right? Trusting that like you are making the best decision for yourself. And I feel like the universe and everything provides. And you look back and you're able to connect the dots and be like, thank God I made that decision. Because then XYZ happened. They always say it's like we have all of our information from our past, right? Like we only have like what we've lived, but we're making every decision for the future.
Yeah. I think that like also as creatives, we are told from so early on that we're replaceable, and you're not. You're not replaceable. No one's going to do that thing you're going to do. Like, and I think one of the hardest things actors have to learn is once you step into your work, but it's not just actors. I see it with my husband, who's brilliant, and he will still feel like he is somehow replaceable because we as humans have been trained that way. And I think the sooner you step into your power and you trust, hey, my intuition, my gut is telling me I need to leave the situation, I will find something better because I know I'm making the right call for me. And you do, you trust, just go. And I think it's all you can do.
Totally. Absolutely. It's just kind of like taking that leap of faith and taking that risk and just like knowing that whatever's on the other side is meant for you. And I think something that I've loved your creativity and your, I almost call it like a trust in like how you have created materials for what people would call your branding, but you really call it more of your essence versus your type. And I feel like you've had a lot of fun creative liberty that's so outside the box. Like, yes, you have headshots that might fall into a more traditional category, but you also have so many other fun shots that represent a very unique piece of yourself. And I think branding is something that a lot of people can overthink because they're trying to like check this box or check like whatever casting type, and they can lose, wait a second, what is my essence? They can focus so much on the type. How has this distinction change for your marketing materials over time when you really learn to like embrace your essence and have that reflected?
You know, it's so interesting. I only recently started realizing it. Like probably maybe a year or two ago did I kind of put that distinction on myself, and it was a big game changer for me. And you know, when you were starting out as an actor, and not even just starting out, when you're an actor, you'll hear people be like, "No, you're type," and I can't even tell you the amount of times I've logged on and heard people somebody be like, "You need to know your," and I'm like, "Hold the fuck!" Like no one even knows who they are right now. Can just feels like pressure, right? And it's like, you know, let's say you sign with a new rep and they're like, okay, well, I need you to grab a blazer shot. I felt so boxed in. And me as a creative, I was like, fuck, no, I'm not paying $600 for headshots where I hate every second of my life. And I feel like actors are just checking off boxes, like you said. Instead, what I started doing was, because I'm a psycho, again, I would go through every audition I had. I would go through the submission report from my reps, and I would start asking for character break. I would start doing all my homework. And I'd be like, okay, what offices didn't look CV? Okay, so we're missing this, but I could definitely play this role. Okay, when that audition comes to me, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear when I go in the room? So I had one, I was lucky enough to go in for Suits LA. And it was one of the most positive experiences in that room with that creative team and that casting team. And I did one of the photos, and it was so interesting because like when I got the audition, I was like, oh my God, I did a headshot in this. Like, cause I knew what I was calling in. I knew I wanted that role. And it allows you to go, okay, I'm not just clicking a type. This is who I'm going to be when I walk into the room. And I think that's your essence. Actors can play anything, right? We loved it. Like, we're like, I can play like Matt. I'll
Alien coach.
Yeah. No, it's like instead just like owning your power and be like, this is where I shine. This is where I have this unique thing that I do. What am I going to wear when I go into that? And that branding works for everything. I mean, it works for when you go in for a meeting, when you're meeting with a new team, when you're so aware of what you want to do and what you're calling in as a performer, you're able to project that. Everyone can see it clearly. And so your auditions or your pool or something may feel like it's getting smaller, or you're like, I'll give you an example. My reps are wonderful and they're some of my best friends. And I was like, what do we think of these new headshots? Because with Steph, I had tried something very specific this round. And she goes, they're so specific. And baby, the universe loves to be specific. And what we started to see, because I love to ask casting that are my friends, and I'm like, which ones are you gravitating? What are you seeing? And they go, I've never seen you take something that would not necessarily like, I wanted a Last of Us kind of vibe. And I was like, but who would I be on that show versus me trying to be one of these characters that already exist? What energy would I go on and probably nail? And I think when you put that into you as an actor and you as a performer, you're changing the narrative and you're going, I don't fit in this mold. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to bring. And that's your essence.
I think that's so genius, Ashley. And what I love about that answer is I feel like that's a perfect combination of the craft and the business.
Oh, good. Because I still don't understand that question. So go ahead.
Maybe it was the way I asked it. You never know. I feel like that you use strategy, right? Like you're using strategy to be like, let me look at all this information that I have, but then use it in a really creative way that's like connecting to a deeper part of yourself. And like, again, being creative, like The Last of Us, not how can I look like XYZ in the show, but who am I in that show? Like that's you creating your own character, but it's based off of intel and other things to make that decision to be like, I want that.
Yes, this is yes. And I think, you know, when you're an actor and you're starting out and you're like, I remember when I first moved to LA, everybody was like, what's your brand? And I was like, I have no fucking clue.
You tell me. How about that?
You tell me. I think the less we try to put those things on us and the more you step into your authenticity in and of itself, business, act, whatever it is, the more you are authentically you, even if you can't communicate it correctly, the energy is vibrating out. People can sense it about you. And it's almost like you just kind of just do it. That sounds so strange. You do. With this career, there is no guarantee. Like you can be the best actor in the business and you might not ever book anything. You can't go to the street corner and just emote. But if you're the best basketball player, somebody's gonna find you. So much with this career is timing, it's luck, it's preparedness, and then right time, right place. And you just swing. So I think like there's beauty in that versus having to feel it. It's such a gift to be able to do this. And
when I think what a great mindset reframe too, because yeah, like think about that energy. You just talked about so much opportunity and possibility of, oh my God, like it could look like this or it could look like this. And like even as you say it, like my heart's like, yes, it could. Whereas if you came on and were like, "Ugh, it kind of sucks, guys, like most, you know what I mean? Like that would be a totally different energy. And I feel like we forget how powerful, like what we carry and how we share it is so impactful to just even, it sounds like so lame, but like what we attract and then is like what's even available to us. If we have that negative mindset of like lack of deserving it or it's not going to happen for me, like we're looking for something else and it's like right there.
Yeah, I got asked really early on. I got a really lucky break and I got my first recurring that was never supposed to happen. I was supposed to say 7 lines and then something happened. It's making me smile like an idiot. They rewrote that episode where I went from having 7 lines to 4 pages opposite the lead. And then I recurred. And, it's one of those things where someone was like, well, what was did you call that role in? Were you manifesting? And I was like, no, that's the beauty of it. Like, I think as soon as you start going, I want this and I want this. And yes, it's specific. And yes, the universe listens, but I think it closes you off to like, I would have never dreamed of those things. I would have never imagined. So I think the more you're just like, I want to be fulfilled. I want to be happy. I want to love my career and my entire resume, not I want to play Marie Antoinette. It like bring her to me, like you can have that, but you also have to let magic happen. And I think the more you let the magic in, the more beautiful and surprising it is.
Absolutely. We were talking about dating and marriage right before we got on. I feel like that applies to dating too. Like, here's my checklist and here's what I want. And then it's like you could miss magic that's right in front of you. Like, letting that magic in and letting it, like, what we work so hard. Like, we work almost too hard. Like, let it work for us a little bit, you know?
Well, that's the key, right? Grant, they say that with manifestation. They're like, you have to think it, feel it in your body, and then let it go. And that's the hardest part. Because we're like, no, 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 no. I want to make sure the universe is listening. That I want all these things. And it's like the more you're just like, oh, it'll happen. I think the more you have that, the more the universe picks up quickly. And it does apply to not just acting, whatever your career is, and also love. Like, I think the more we're like, it has to be this and it has to be this and it has to be this. And it's like, those are great. But if you don't open yourself up to a human who may have something that just surprises you. I thought my husband was a dick when I first met him. And he's not. I'm the problem. He is and was the best human. And I was the one who was projecting. You're a doctor. You're probably an asshole. And like, he was not, couldn't be further from it. But it was like, and I find that with our careers, with love, with whatever you're doing, just get out of your own way.
Totally. I have a couple of my friends who are like, oh, I don't want like an accountant. That sounds so boring. And like one of my husband's best friends, Andy, is an accountant. I'm like, he's one of the funniest people I know. Like, he's hysterical.
One of my best friends is married to an accountant who's our accountant. And let me tell you something, he's a wizard. Okay. The things that man can do with money.
And they love it too. Like when he gets down to, because Andy does our taxes for us, I'm like, God, it's watching someone with passion and able to, like, again, make what he's doing, which to me as a creative, I'm like, God, numbers. Like, I try to be there for it, but I'm like, whoa, my brain doesn't work like this, but it's creative for him. He's like, we could do a little of this and we could do a little. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the same thing I feel when I'm doing voiceover or acting. It's wild.
It is. And I think you nailed it. And this is for anyone out there. Like, it's like passion is the most sexy thing. I don't care what you do, as long as you actually want it. That's one of the most attractive things about a person to me.
Absolutely. You could feel it. You could feel someone's energy when they walk into a room, when they're just like so rooted and expressive and open with like their passion and being authentically in that. I agree. And I think too, we talked about T Swift. I feel like Travis Kelce was not on a lot of our bingo cards.
No one saw him coming.
No one. And what's funny is I'm a big football fan. And so I knew who Travis Kelce was. So like what was hysterical to me is all my friends were like, this Travis Kelce guy. And I'm like, I was shocked so many people didn't know him. Because I was like, yeah, guys, like he's very successful in football. But
quite well.
He's
a man in his
pretty good. But yeah, not on the bingo card. But it makes so much sense when you see them now together. It's like that magic. They celebrate each other and they share. Like when she was just talking about not doing the Super Bowl halftime show, because she's like celebrating like football, at least for this season of life, is like his thing. And she's so there for him. I was like, wow, it's like two very passionate people just shining the light on one another.
I love that we're talking about our dear personal friend, Taylor Swift.
Yes.
But, I genuinely mean it when I say, talk about somebody who, like, she was doing, talking about love her whole career and helping so many people, like, go through heartbreak and chances and trying again. And then to see her find someone who does just not hide her light and vice versa is just Everybody should find their Travis who holds you up, who like puts you in the spotlight and isn't afraid.
I just got chills because, yeah, think about all the things she'll be able to do. And I mean, she's already doing everything, not that she needs him, but like they will continue empowering each other to take bigger risks and take bolder leaps. And I'm like,
Good for them. Good for her. She built an empire. I hope she gets everything. I hope they both get everything they want. You know what I mean? Because
absolutely.
she kept our economy going for years. Her and Beyonce just right on her shoulder.
Thank you. Seriously.
Thank you, my ladies. So yeah, no, I hope they get it all because they deserve it.
Totally could not agree more. And not to take like a hard left, but I think it's important to talk about because our industry, man, like everyone had the global pandemics, like every industry was affected by that. But then we had like the tiniest little bit of reprieve, not even. And then it was like strike, strike. Lot happening the last however many years. And I feel like it's shape shifted our industry so much in how we all interact in community. And like, you know, I'm so glad to hear you got to go into the room the other week. Cause I feel like now it really is like self tapes in Zoom rooms is like just the norm of what we deal with. And another thing that we're starting to deal with is AI. And it's been one of those things that's been like percolating in the background for a long time, the last couple of years. And you had this hilarious Instagram post about the Tilly Norwood AI actress debacle. And so I'll make sure to link that in the show notes so people can go see that specifically. But I'm just curious to like unpack it a little bit because it's just, I feel like it's a lot. It's been a lot.
Yeah, it's terrifying. You know, here's the thing. It's really terrifying because the Tilly thing, one of my best friends, I feel like he stole her face to the point where I'm like, man, I've seen her looking back at me. And she's an actress. And so it's one of those things where it's not exact enough where we're all up in arms, but it's enough where it's like, that's my friend's face. You took from hundreds of women who are breathing and living and existing, and you took from everyone's pain. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings on the fact that I have a lot of feelings on it. But, you know, it's like, oh, for me, I think, you know, it's going to be interesting because I was not around during the writer's strike of, I think it was in 2008.
Yes.
But when I did move out in 10, people were talking about it still. And they were like, oof. And that's when the reality TV boom happened. And so it's going to be interesting to see what goes down. I think, like, first off, there's nothing we can do, right? So our union has great provisions. I'm so grateful to them. I hope more laws happen to help our union strengthen the protection factor, especially voice. It feels very strange. It feels like we're on that, what is humanity? What is consciousness? It's a little scary, but I think we as artists have to remember that this AI only exists because we've lived the pain. And we are the consciousness. We are the power. I think we have to take it one day at a time. And it's very frustrating and it's very scary. And we have to like be loud and talk about things that are bothering us and hope that we put some laws in place. Like, I don't think we should sit back and be like, you know what, guys? Well, let's just see what happens. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be like, no, are we getting involved on a state country? Can we put laws in place? And I think it's something that's scary to all of us, right? Like, not just creatives, but people are using AI to scam people. We go on, but it's like, for me as an artist, I try to make fun of it, or I try to make light of it, or I try to like at least get us all to talk like in any way we can about this creation. It's a hard one, girl. It's a very hard one.
Well, and it's fresh. Like this, oh, it just happened. I think what's cool, like you said, about kind of just the outcry. I obviously follow a ton of people in the industry from being in the industry myself. And it was really, really cool. Cause I think definitely when the strikes were happening, you saw a lot of community and you saw a lot of like rallying together. But I think in this situation in particular, I was like, wow, it's so cool to see the depth of how many people, creatives or not, people not even working in this industry, are pissed off and have a lot of feelings about this in particular. So it gave me, again, I am very take it day by day, but it gave me like a little bit of sense of like, oh shit, okay. Like, it's nice that we're all feeling shit and like being vocal.
Yeah.
And I feel like that needs to happen, I guess. But it was nice. It was like, it gave me a little bit of like hope in my heart.
I had so many people reach out and my DMs and on the page and be like, I, as not even an actor, I'm with you guys. And like, this is disgusting. I'm grateful to know that people were like, gross, no. Like, people didn't seem like, oh, they were like, no. And I think on every level, not just creatives, but everyone was just very disturbed by this. And I think it does give hope. I think everyone's kind of feeling it. If you have babies, I don't have human cubs yet, but like if you do, it's like a very scary thing to know that your children are going to grow up seeing these very like AI versions of people now. And so it's like, I'm sure everyone on every level is like, no, 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 let's see. We need to put some breaks to some parameters. So it was a good feeling of like, I was grateful people were outraged, is a good word. And so good. I did feel really bad for her because I think she got like den threatened. And I was like, that's too extreme. So
I don't understand how that even happens. Like we see it all the time and I'm just like, why are we taking out all of this like venom on this person? Like it is still a human, right? And like
I just looked and then I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole other issue. 'Cause I was just thinking as you were talking about that, I was like, wow, I was so grateful that like literally when I was a teenager, it was like dial-up internet. And like if my mom needed to use the phone, they were like, get off. And I'm like, even I was like a
Oh,
late adopter of like the whole Facebook, Instagram
same.
thing. And I'm like, thank God. Like that's bad enough to be like when I have a human child too, like I'm like, how do you deal with like screen time and all that shit? And now it's like, oh, just add this layer.
Add this extra layer where you can't even tell if it's a real person or not. Yeah, no, it's a wild time. And I think if we can all like come together, hopefully we do, and hopefully we use it for good versus bad. I think at the core of it, it starts a very interesting conversation with anyone like not to bring Taylor Swift back up, but it's so true when you're talking about someone you're cutthroat in the comments, but you forget you're talking to a human on the other side of that screen. So I think I just would love to see more compassion all around for humanity in general. I think we all feel that, and many, many things we're seeing in the world right now, and just remembering we're people together, and you have to remember that.
We're literally for the first time, each of us on the spinning rock in space, like trying our damnedest, just day by day. My day one, your day one. Like we're all like, what the hell is happening? Like new for
I think
me.
it's easy to lose that behind the screen, but the more you realize, and it is uplifting to see how much people are. I hope we come to a place where we are just humanists again, and we just care about humanity in general, all humanity.
Absolutely. And I think in our last couple minutes, Ashley, what I love about your Instagram, one, you're just like your Instagram, which I figured you would be. Of like, what we see is what we get, which is phenomenal. What's so cool is like you talk a lot about acting in the industry and creativity and mindset, but you share a lot about your life, like being a cat mom and traveling with your husband and like all of the fun things that you do. And I think that's something I'm seeing it less and less, which makes me excited. But I think when I was younger in LA, I would see people almost be so in love and passionate about their career, but like they're gripping of like, it has to happen for me. Like, how am I going to make this happen? That it's like their
Sure.
blinders were on so tight. They stopped like looking around them and they kind of stopped saying yes to things that were really important life experiences, like just even for the joy of their heart. They wouldn't say no to vacations or seeing their family because it's like, oh, I don't want to miss an opportunity. Like just so much maybe lack of openness out of fear because like they want something so badly to happen, but then they're not maybe getting a chance to like fully live their life. And I think what I love about your Instagram is I'm like, it's all there. Like you're traveling and you're living your life with your husband and you're joking around and talking about the serious stuff. And I guess, is that something that you've always kind of been attuned to within yourself, or is that something you had to find? Okay.
No, what? No, not at all. It's so funny. I actually I am about to post about this. My husband and I are, there's a good 2 point thing. I'll start up with this because my brain. The one thing I was sitting down with someone who was just starting out their career recently, and we were having coffee, and she goes, "What's the one thing you can warn me about?" And I said, "Get okay disappointing people. Never disappoint yourself." And I know that sounds very selfish, and we as women are taught, oh no, you bend over backwards, you do all these things. And I love my family more than anything. I still remember in 2015 when I had to call my dad and tell him I wasn't coming home for Christmas for the first time. And it was because I'd fallen in love with John and he was in his residency as an ER doctor. He was going to have to work Christmas and I wanted to be with him. And I was leading a producer session for the first guest star I ever booked. And I was walking out of the studio and I'd come off this high and my father was so disappointed in me. And, he's going through changes like when your babies are first like changing up the rhythm. It's scary. I can only imagine how I'm going to feel because I'm going to be obsessed with my children. I remember crying in my car, but I never apologized. And I remember being like, I was on hold for a national, which I ended up booking. And I just left the producer session for a guest star that I ended up booking. And I was in love. And I was like, I know I'm going to do this just of the point that I want to be with John. And I remember it was the first time I said no to a rhythm, to going home, to living my life in that way or stepping away. And I had to make the choice for my career and for love. And I remember the next day, I didn't apologize. I didn't say no. My dad called me and said, I owe you an apology, and said, it's just so hard. You're becoming an adult. Like you were so strong than what you knew you needed for you. And I am so proud of you. It's just hard to think of our traditions changing. And I'm so proud of my dad. I don't know, it took so much guts to do that. And so as I firmed that up, that was the first inkling of, because immediately I had to fight all of the, oh my gosh, I'm a bad person. I'm selfish. I'm choosing this when I should choose my family. And I think there's balance that we talked about. And so as I started learning that, I started realizing, like, for instance, I was lucky enough to do NCIS Origins last year. And when we got the offer, oh, it was so much fun. And when we got the offer, it was a big gap because it was the pilot. And I was like, oh, I'm going to Italy. And I've already planned this trip. And my agent is just an amazing person. He goes, hey, Ash, let's see what day it's going to land. And then we can make a call. Like, let's hold on. Don't cancel your trip. And, most reps would be like, no, you do the job. He was like, hold on. And then I had to choose to go see Taylor Swift in the pit. And I had a big premiere for a Lifetime, which had press, which I missed being with my castmates. And I remember being like, I'm going to choose life because I will always get another carpet. And I was very sad to have you had to choose, but I don't regret at all taking that trip because I still decoupled from the carpet. It was so much fun. I was still part of it. And I trusted that I'd always get another. I would never get to see Taylor Swift in Italy again. So you have to just, you as a person, go, what does my soul need? And trust everything else. Like,
Yep.
And as you get more comfortable with that, everything falls, I think, into place and people start learning your boundaries. But it is a learned thing. Like, I vividly remember disappointing my dad the day I learned this. But it all worked out. I booked the guest star, I booked the national. And I think about, if I cowered, where would I be?
Absolutely. And I love that story, Ashley. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because I think so much of our, I guess, like the antithesis of our conversation today has been like faith and trust in yourself, the gift that is to yourself, and kind of what then can happen. And there's a Latin word, I don't know how to pronounce it. I forget every time. It's spelled Fidere. And it's like the root word of confidence. And it means to self-trust. Like, do I trust myself, my actions, my thoughts, all of those things? And like in that self-trust, you build confidence. And like after that moment, you had more confidence to do it again and like stand more rooted in your power and disappoint again. And then that builds like that resiliency. So I love that story so much. And I have a couple rapid fire questions before we get out of here. This has been so fun. What's the messiest thing about you?
Oh God, me as a person.
You're like all of it.
I'm very messy. And I think that's beautiful, just me, cat hair, covered in cat hair.
Yeah. I don't know if this was like on your stories or a post of like the eggs, like you forgot the eggs that you were boiling and your husband's like, I heard an explosion and the eggs are like all over your kitchen.
I felt so bad. We were selling our house. So I was like, I don't even know how to, because they're stuck up there. I had to explain
my
that.
Gosh.
Fires.
You're like, so sorry. That has happened to everybody for sure. What are you most excited about right now, personally or professionally or both?
We just bought our dream home. It's actually like such a big, beautiful, and it's like it literally manifests. It could go on and on, but it's such an exciting time, but it was so scary and you have to take that leap of faith. And it's a weird time in the Korean world. And so it's like always scary, but it was just the best choice and yet terrifying. But I'm so excited about that. And we're remodeling.
We'll have to have a coffee chat because I want to hear all about that. I'm so excited for you. And then I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but where can people come hang out with you on Instagram, on TikTok? Where can they come get more?
Come on, the water is stalling. I'm on Instagram as my name, Ashley Dulaney, and I just started a TikTok. Like, it's very, very fresh, but I wanted to make a place where it could be primarily just acting, and I just dived deeper down into craziness, and that's cats only at Ashley Dulaney. Just started like 4 weeks ago.
I love it. Ashley, you're amazing. Thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you for having me, for real.
Absolutely.
And meeting you.
You're the real hero if you've made it this far. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and check out the show notes for any resources or cool info mentioned in today's episode, or places to follow along if you want to hang out some more. I'm rooting for you today and always. Stay messy.